Walking around the sides of the castle, I noticed at the corner of the castle here, I like the stones and the light at the moment is quite good. So I think I'll take this image. I'm basically going to be taking this square of the castle. Camera settings, f8 and a shutter speed of 1/30th of a second. So let's take the image. For this next image, I'm looking up at this tower and I like the windows and the sky is, I like that in black and white. I think that will work well. I think it will contribute to the mood of the image. As far as camera settings go, f8, 1/60th of a second. Let's take the image. I've now come into the castle and climbed to the top. I like this outlook, looking up towards the sea, getting the corner of the castle with this wall. I want everything in focus, so I'll choose f22 or f16, sorry. Shutter speed 1/125th of a second. So let's take that image. I've just moved slightly to my left from the previous image. Looking out to the sea, I've noticed this stack of stones. I like it in the centre. The camera settings, f11 and 1/125th of a second. Everything should be in focus. Walking down the steps, I noticed these lovely stones. I love the patterns on them. It's quite dark, so I've had to put it on a tripod. 1 second exposure, and I'll be interested to see how this comes out. I like this image. It's a bit of fun with my shadow through this crack in the wall. As far as camera settings go, I've chosen 1/125th of a second at f2. I've had to take the photomic head off the camera so that I can handhold the image, cup it in my hands, and then it won't get reflected in the image. If I introduce a tripod, it just creates too many problems. I've taken 2 images, one with the photomic head as it is, and I've put my hand over the other image. One of the benefits of the Nikon, of course, is that you can take the photomic head off, so that's a real boon. Having developed the film in Cathanol and scanned with my Epson V370 scanner the negatives, let's have a quick look at what I've got. 6 images are up for potential printing. The first one is this one of the steps. I do like the little prints. I must confess I didn't see those, but actually it contributes to perhaps telling a story. I think the image is slightly lighter than I would have expected, and if I was to print it, I think I'd probably, let's see if I can just do a quick curves adjustment to make it slightly darker. So we'll just do a little bit of an S curve, maybe. No, it's not. Maybe something like that. Don't know. Certainly make it slightly darker than the image was. That's the image. So something like that I think I'd go for if I was to print it. Second image of my reflection. Quite pleased with this one actually. It looks like I'm a bit of a soldier in the reflection there, which kind of contributes, and maybe a crack in time. So again, there's a bit of a story. Don't know, not quite sure. A bit of fun that could be. Third image, I don't think this one really works, actually, if I'm perfectly honest. There's lots of tones in it, but that's about all, I think. If I'm brutally honest, I don't think that quite worked. And neither this one really. Again, I'm pleased that with the camera exposure, but again, it doesn't really move me, I must confess now. And this one again, I think I'd probably make this darker. Let's again just do a little quick curves adjustment, and maybe something like that. If I was to print it, that's what I would be aiming for. But I think on reflection, I think this image here probably has more of an appeal to me, perhaps, in the sense that it's I'm on the battlement, I'm looking out, so it's kind of telling a bit of a story. I do like this little bit here. I'll be interested to see if this comes out in the print, and a little bit of the sky here. So I think on reflection, looking through all of those images, I think I'm going to go for this one as a potential print. So let's go into the darkroom. In my previous video I mentioned how I was concerned about the contrast in the image, that I didn't think it was enough. So looking through the manual of my Kaiser enlarger, which does include a colour head, it has these controls, yellow, magenta and cyan controls that can be used to dial in some contrast to black and white images. So fortunately, on the other side here, it has a table, and for the paper I'm using, which is Ilford multigrade, there's a table here that shows me what I can use in terms of contrast. So I've got a contrast of 0 to 5 that I can dial in with this enlarger. So I'm going to go for the midpoint 2. So I'm going to have to dial in the yellow to 35 and then the magenta to 45, and then in theory that will produce a contrast of a factor by 2. So that's the theory, and well, let's see what happens. Here we have the test strip for the castle image, and we go from 4-second increments from 0, or 4 seconds rather, to 32 seconds. And I think 32 seconds is way too dark, although it'd be really interesting in perhaps the texture here, but I think it'd be too dark for the surrounding here. I notice there's a very clear line around about this 16-second mark, 16 second, 20 seconds, so I think we're in that sort of area. I think I might go for something like 20 seconds, I think we'll go for, at f11 on the enlarger lens, and we'll see how we get on. Here is the first print that I produced from the negative with 20 seconds and a contrast of or factor of 2, and I'm really pleased with it. However, there is one major problem. There's a very fine line going all the way down there. I don't know whether you can see that, a white line. Not sure where that's come from. Must be part of the developing. I really don't know. Certainly not the exposure of the negative, or from the negative, I don't think. So anyway, I had to go back into the darkroom and produced another print, exactly the same settings, 20 seconds, f11, and a contrast factor of 2, and I'm really pleased with the way it's come out. So it came out exactly as I would like it to. It retains all the detail, not too dark. Maybe could have gone maybe slightly darker, but I didn't want to take that risk. And the details here in the distant hills and the cloud are all there. So overall I'm really pleased with this print and how it's come out. So there we go, Flint Castle with a Nikon F. See you next time.